Good morning everybody, Jump Out Martin Metalhead here, coming to you now from central London, W1, Sydney Westminster. Yes, so right in the heart of the city of London, or maybe I'm in Greater London. Yes, so I'd have to believe I'd have to be in Greater London and not City London. So we're going to talk about traveling the world with medical conditions, okay? No two people are the same, you know. One person might have diabetes, the other person might have asthma. It just depends on what you've grown up with. Now, if you're someone like me who relies on medicine to live, to get by, to get through the day, you would think that if you had a medical condition, you might not be able to travel. And that's not really the case. It just depends on what type of medicine you take or what you're going to use it. Many years ago, I used to have to take thyroid medicine that would have to be refrigerated. So I would have to find a refrigerator every 2 weeks just to keep my medicine cool. After I moved to the United Kingdom, the people who gave me thyroid medication basically said this does not have to be kept in a refrigerator, so which was such a relief. I didn't get to travel much abroad when I was a child because every day I had to have injections to boost my height. Otherwise, if I didn't have those injections, I'd be the size of somebody who's 3 foot tall, like the size of a dwarf. No offense. So I didn't get to go to New Zealand with my family, all because, you know, I would have to have these injections. And even if I did go to New Zealand with my mother, this was in a time when there was not any liquid restrictions back in the day, but if I had to travel with syringes and liquid medicine through airports, that would be kind of painstakingly long, to so much explanation. These days I have to put my aerosol medications, like my inhaler, just like this. Depending on what the airport situation it is, sometimes you don't have to put it in the Ziploc bags, other times you do. But I always basically say, okay, I'm gonna put this in a Ziploc bag. And if anybody asks, that basically is a prescribed medication. So it doesn't have much of a limitation. Now, it is really important that when you travel the world with medicine, that you carry it in the original boxes, you carry it with your doctor's prescription, and that it is labeled. You don't want to be having to explain to a customs officer why your medication isn't labeled or how you purchased it or where it came from. Because in a lot of countries, they can be quite tough on people with certain prescription medications. I remember I had a great aunt in Britain who wanted to visit my dad in Australia, but because she needed this really strong antidepressant, they would have not allowed her to bring it into the country without a permit. So my auntie never bothered to go visit my dad in Sydney. So with my medicines I take, which is a combination of levothyroxine and hydrocortisone, these are steroid tablets, okay? I have never ever run out of medicine abroad. My worst nightmare would be if somebody had stolen my bag and my medicines were there. If that had happened to me in a country like, let's just say, the Sahel, like in Burkina Faso or Lesotho, I would have to run to a hospital and say, by law, you have to give me this medication because I need it to live. The only time I have ever bought medication while I was abroad was in Serbia. I was in Serbia for a couple of weeks. I was worried that I was going to run out of levothyroxine, so I went to a chemist. I presented my medication. I basically said, do you have this? And she said yes. And the best thing of it it only cost 300 Serbian dinar, like not even a fiver. Because I mean, most of my medications in the United Kingdom are free because of, they say if you have a lifelong medical condition, your medicines are free. In my own country of birth, Australia, I used to have to pay only $6 a month prescription, and then I started working full time, so I had basically had to start paying more money for my medicines. Now, let's just say I am going on a vacation soon. I'm gonna like leave. I want to travel, you know, from Morocco to Ghana. I don't know how long it's gonna take me. I know it's an overland journey, but the first thing I'm going to do is, before I leave the United Kingdom, is I'm going to ask my doctor, I'm going to say, please give me 3 months worth of medicines. I say, give me 3 months of my levothyroxines and my hydrocortisone and two or four aspirin inhalers. So the NHS can give me 3 months of medication, and the same thing with any of you people. Like if you're traveling abroad, they'll give you 3 months at maximum. But after 3 months, they basically say it's in your best interest to find medicine in whatever country that you'll be traveling in or residing. So therefore, you would have to perhaps go and pay for a doctor and ask for a prescription, or you could be lucky and maybe just go into a pharmacist and say, do you have this? And probably pay for it. Sometimes they may ask for a prescription. If you carried your original one from your country of origin, and basically, and you had sort of like translation, like you could be able to translate this into a foreign language, you would be able to get your medicines in a foreign country. I have never ever had any problems with customs with having to import my medicines. Okay, I always go through the right channel. I always basically say, look, this is my medication, this is what it's need for, I need to have this. If some customs officer was to be a complete smart ass jerk to me and basically say, no, you can't bring this into my country, then literally I'd be like, well, I'm gonna be dead without this medication, because you know, you produce cortisone naturally and my body doesn't. So therefore, I need to have the steroid replacement therapy to live. So, I'm pretty sure that if I am going to be traveling in West Africa in the next few months, I'm not going to try and see if I could see a doctor and try to see if I can get my medication in these countries, because I kind of think to myself, yeah, there are people all over the world who take the same type of medication that I take, so therefore there must be levothyroxine and hydrocortisones in Sierra Leone or Liberia or or Ghana or Burkina Faso or Niger or Morocco. So literally, I don't worry that I'm gonna run out of medication. One time I stupidly left all my inhalers in a hostel in Siem Reap in Cambodia. I had a few left on me, but literally I had like 6 months worth of inhalers just carrying around with me. And even though it was quite bad that I lost 5 of them, it didn't really upset my trip. I knew that I was going to be back in Australia. But last year, I asked my doctor for 3 months of medication. I say, I want to, travel Cape Town to Cairo or Cairo to Cape Town without flying. Please give me 3 months of medication. They only gave me like a month and a half worth of medicines. So I could only buy a ticket that was valid for 1 month. I had to come back to the United Kingdom because I thought, I know I could easily have asked the doctor in South Africa for medicines, even if it would have been, 50 rand to see a doctor, or my prescriptions would have been 100 rand, this is just me guessing. But I literally knew that I can always, come back to the United Kingdom and gain a stock up of supply of my medications. Like, I could be like, alright, let's just say I've taken 3 months away from the United Kingdom, I've got my medications, and then I'll have to go back to the United Kingdom to get more. Or, in this case, I could probably just go to Serbia, a country I love so dearly, and I could basically be like, please give me these medications, and they will, because I was quite lucky when they gave me my thyroid medication in Belgrade. I was just so damn happy. But literally, I can't always like trust my instincts. If somebody had stolen my bag when I was on holiday in South Africa, I would literally be in panic mode. I'd be like, I have to get to a hospital. And my cousin, who is a radiographer, he told me, he says, man, if you're ever stuck in the world and you don't have your medication and it's been taken, go into a hospital and ask them for it, because by law, they have to give you enough medications to last you for as long as you can. In the United Kingdom, I had a really bad experiences in my first few months of like London, because my doctor was in Birmingham. I was lying to him and her saying I was still in Birmingham, so every month I had to go out to Birmingham and pick up my medication. And this one day I basically went into a clinic. I basically said I need this medications and all, and so they wouldn't allow me to, they wouldn't dispense me my medication. I went to the same clinic twice within the 2-month period, and they're like, sorry, we can't dispense your medication, you have to go back to your old doctor in Birmingham. And then my old doctor was like, well, we've already caught up with you and you're no longer living in Birmingham, so please stop doing this. So I had to find a GP in London to give me my medications, and it was really horrible because I was living in a hostel at Hendon. I signed up for a doctor. I needed my injection of testosterone, which I never travel with because I always make sure I get my testosterone injection before I go abroad. These doctors in the NHS in Hendon, they wouldn't give me this injection because they had no prior authorization, even though I told them who was my last doctor in Birmingham and what to do. So I always make sure that I get my testosterone injection before I travel, because I'd be like, okay, if I get my testosterone injection in September and I'm traveling in November, it means that I have to come back to Britain in December just so I could get this injection. I mean, it's not life and death. Like, if I don't get my testosterone injection in December, I mean, when I came back from Serbia, I had to wait a few more weeks to see a doctor because just a bit of like screw up with appointments and all. So it's not life and death if I don't get my testosterone injection. I mean, if I don't get my testosterone injection, my body will just produce more estrogen because of how I was born. Because I'm on testosterone replacement therapy, I'm on hydrocortisone replacement therapy, and I'm on thyroid replacement therapy. So this explains how I've been able to travel to 96 nations with a medical condition, and do not let your medical condition stop you from traveling. Smart and the Metalhead, I'm over and out.